Now on LWT, Trevor Phillips and the team with another investigation in the London programme.
You're under arrest on suspicion of being in possession of a firearm.
A police raid on a council flat in Brixton has uncovered a .38 revolver.
Obliged to send things which you say, whatever you do say will be taken down in writing and maybe given in evidence.
On sale in South London last night, an illegal Beretta semi-automatic pistol for only £350.
The thing with the Beretta is it takes about 9 rounds. As you pull the trigger, it's ready to go again.
Tonight, the London programme investigates how these deadly weapons are reaching London streets. 2 weeks ago, Bobby Campbell was drinking in his local pub.
We're talking about golf and things like that, and when all of a sudden this fella came in the door and let fly with this gun. And the first one was a terrific bang, and I was actually sitting with my back to the gunman. I never seen him at that stage, and then he fired one, and I never got hit with that, but when the second bullet fired, that was when I felt this terrific pain in my back. As I turned around, I see this fella standing there with the gun, and he's firing probably the third shot or fourth shot, I'm not sure. But I was actually seeing the sparks coming out the barrel of the gun. And then he just left, you know, straight out the door. I would say the whole thing never took any more than 4 or 5 seconds.
The former St Mirren footballer is now recovering at home with his family. Every day he's reminded just how lucky he is to be alive when his bullet wounds are dressed.
Well, the doctor says to me if it hadn't hit the rib, it would have went straight through me and it would 99% certain to be killed. I says, that's what I've been thinking about now, you know. But in actual fact, I hit a rib, shot right down the back, missed my spine by about, I would say, a quarter of an inch or something, they said, 3/8 of an inch, and then it embedded itself. I hit another rib on the other side and embedded itself behind the ribs on the other side of me. So I've been shot on one side and I've had to take the bullet out the other side, you know. Right, well.
Yes, please, mate.
Okay.
Bobby Campbell is himself a publican. He regularly opens his Dulwich pub in the evening, then goes to the Two Brewers in Catford for a quiet drink with his friend, the manager. By chance, that Tuesday, he ended up sitting opposite Andy Bergikoff, a regular at the pub. Just before 8 o'clock, a masked gunman burst in.
And I just turned away from him. And then he seemed to be following Andy down the bar, because Andy had run down the bar to get away from him. And he fired another 2 or 3 shots, and maybe 4 shots in that time. Andy, he kind of slid down the wall. He was standing against the wall holding his head. He slid down the wall and he kind of crawled across the floor a bit, and he just turned on his back.
Despite attempts to revive him, Andy Bergikoff died shortly after reaching hospital. The gunman, dressed all in black, left his motorbike running while carrying out the shooting and disappeared without trace. The police believe he was a hired hitman and are investigating a possible drugs link. Gunfire on London streets is now commonplace. In London, gun crime has risen by more than 50% in the last 5 years. Last year's record level saw more than 9 crimes involving guns each day. And only last month, a submachine gun was used against the police by armed robbers. While pursuing suspected bank robbers on the streets of Eltham, flying squad detective Michael Stubbs was hit in a volley of bullets from an automatic weapon.
As he stopped, the guy opened the door and he fell on the floor, and they picked him up, put him round the back there, and eventually the ambulance came and took him away.
When something like that happens, action beats reaction, and all of his volley of shots were gone in a matter of seconds before anyone could react, before anyone could take cover. There was no chance of taking cover for either any of us in the car or any bystanders.
Shortly after the shooting, 2 men were captured at a nearby house. They were charged with attempted murder, possession of 2 pistols and a revolver, and use of a fully automatic submachine gun. Michael Stubbs was lucky. The bullet only hit him a glancing blow, But he was appalled at what might have happened.
I just can't believe that anyone would use such a weapon in such a way in a residential area. There were children about, it was school holidays. There was no thought of whether it was just police that they were trying to hit or evade, but there was no thought for anyone.
The shooting of Michael Stubbs on this Eltham Street is a frightening new development. Automatic weapons are still the exception and not the rule. But the use of a submachine gun here signals a major escalation in the level of firepower being employed against the police. So tonight the London programme investigates the upsurge in armed crime and reveals how legally imported weapons are falling into criminal hands and threatening to bring new terror to the streets of the capital.
996, come round, come down, come down. Target 1 is making his way up. Target 2 is next to the TK, next to the TK. OP5, come out, come out, come out. Attack, attack, attack.
This is the flying squad in action. After 11 days of surveillance, they've caught a gang in the act of robbing the Midland Bank in Wallington.
Taken down in writing, maybe give notice. Turn around.
In the past, guns were used almost exclusively by armed robbers. The elite flying squad was set up to target these criminals.
In terms of armed robbery, 1 in 3 crimes are detected. And that message for the robberies, we will get you. Because we are assigned to deal with armed robbery exclusively as the flying squad. Therefore, we will pursue armed robbers, bring them to justice. That's our job.
But in recent years, the biggest growth in armed crime has been in drugs rather than robbery. Drugs-related crimes such as extortion and contract shootings is much harder to police.
I think there are 2 pictures. There is the picture that we know about. Clearly we have a good picture of armed robbery. People tell us when they're robbed. It's the picture we can't see. To what extent are firearms being used in drug dealing, in enforcing territory and other criminal enterprises? And it's that picture that we can't possibly know about, but it's the picture that we want to see more of. It's under the waterline. We want to get better intelligence about that so that we can deal with it.
8 a.m. last Wednesday. Detectives from Operation Vulcan swoop on a council flat in Brixton. Operation Vulcan was set up in May to target drugs-related shootings.
Just explaining to your cousin, I'm Detective Sergeant Northam from Brixton Police Station. We've got a warrant issued by Camberwell Magistrates Court to search his premises for crack cocaine.
Yeah.
Is this your bedroom?
Yeah.
Right.
On this occasion, they struck lucky.
Well, I pulled this fireplace off, yes? Yeah. And there's something behind there, all right? What is it?
I don't know. Starks told me what it is.
It looks like a firearm to me, so you're under arrest on suspicion of being in possession of a firearm with intent to commit an indictable offence.
You're not obliged to send things to say whatever you do say will be taken down in writing and maybe given in evidence. Now, do you fully understand that? Yes? Yeah, it's a gun. All right, super. This is now being made safe, and it's a 38 revolver, and real one. It's situations like this that really, this is why we do wear the flak jackets. We never know when we come into these places what we're going to find, who we're going to find.
Since this local initiative started, they've seized 18 firearms, including 9 semi-automatic pistols, 6 revolvers and 3 sawn-off shotguns. Brixton police estimate that up to 30 people in the area now carry guns on the streets, and not just for show. This year alone, there have been at least 13 crack-related shootings in Brixton. Police believe many others go unreported.
We are concerned in this area that this problem doesn't escalate, and it's for that reason that we've taken action. We're concerned for the safety of the public, We have an example recently where the 13-year-old girl was caught in crossfire between two persons firing each other. At the present time, that's an isolated incident, but we feel if we don't take positive action, there's a risk that could escalate.
Danny used to be a gang member dealing crack in Brixton. He believes the escalation has already begun.
They've got to prove that they're not just going to draw the gun and don't use it. They've got to do something to impress whoever is around them, to get a name for themselves. And they exchanged a couple of shots. The girl got shot by accident. Luckily she wasn't killed. There have been worse incidents in Brixton. It's almost an everyday thing, you know. Many of the shootings are not reported because people are always in fear of what's going to happen after. But every day in Brixton there's some exchange of fire, always.
And armed gang warfare is breaking out in many areas of the capital. 2 weeks ago in Upton Park, rival gangs fought a gun battle in broad daylight. One suspected drugs dealer was blasted in the leg, while another shot smashed through the window of a passing car, almost killing the driver. Police have run into a wall of silence, but Danny was at the scene.
The betting shop was open. There was a lot of punters in there, and this family came in to attack the two guys who's well known. They're well known in Brixton for a lot of criminal activities. They've shot quite a few people, and this family came in and attacked them, and there was an exchange of fire. That family's very determined they're going to get all-out revenge on the Jamaicans on Green Street.
The growth in drug-related shootings has brought with it an escalation in the type of weaponry being carried. Here at the Metropolitan Police Forensic Laboratory, they test guns seized by the police. They've seen a change from sawn-off shotguns, the traditional weapon of the armed robber, to handguns favoured by drug dealers because they're easily concealed. Twice as many pistols as shotguns are now reported to have been used in crimes. And the more powerful the gun, the bigger the status symbol. The most highly prized weapon on the street is the machine gun.
There's evidence by way of photographs that we've obtained that on occasions the Uzi machine gun has been used almost as a status symbol. Well, I've got a trinket, if you like.
For drug dealers, the proper gun is a semi-automatic or fully automatic handgun, an Uzi. It's a nice little gun and can do a lot of damage. For the past 3 or 4 months, it's been getting more and more popular.
Last night, following a phone call from a contact, we discovered just how easy it is to buy illegal firearms. In a secluded spot in South London, we met a man calling himself Billy, who had a shotgun and a Beretta 9mm semi-automatic pistol for sale.
How much would these weapons cost?
Well, for the shotgun, you're talking roughly 150, and for the Beretta, approximately 350 to 400 pound.
And how easy is it for you to get hold of these?
It can sometimes take a day or two, but you don't really have any real problems.
Really? So I could just ring you up and say, I need a sawn-off, I need a pistol, and within 24, 48 hours you'd be able to deliver it?
It's no problem.
What about automatic weapons?
Well, I think it's going to take a little bit longer, but you're then talking quite a bit of money. Somewhere in the region of 12 to 1,600 pounds, possibly even more.
And what would you be able to deliver for that kind of money?
For that sort of money, you're considering something like a Uzi, Kalashnikov, something along that region with ammunition.
It's pretty indiscriminate though, isn't it?
Yes, but drug dealers are indiscriminate people.
The turf wars over drugs are fueling a huge demand for increasingly sophisticated weapons. But it's a demand that can't be satisfied by the weapons already circulating in the capital's underworld. So London's illegal armourers are having to look further afield for their new sources of supply.
Watching from West Berlin as they've done for several hours, the crowd shout ecstatically, "We're coming."
In 1989, the Berlin Wall came down to general rejoicing. Freedom and democracy came to Eastern Europe, but the honeymoon is over. Since Soviet control collapsed and the Red Army went home, the area has become a source of cheap and deadly weapons. Recently, the Polish government announced that last year alone, 300,000 Kalashnikov automatic assault rifles had gone missing. In the past, Britain's tight customs controls made it a difficult target for international gun runners. But since January and the setting up of the European single market, goods can move between countries within the European community with little hindrance. Paul Beaver is an expert on the arms trade. He fears that the ending of EC border controls at the same time as the breakup of the Soviet bloc has turned Western Europe into a free market for illegal weapons.
I think it's something that we have to take on board in the United Kingdom, where we've been isolated from this problem in Western Europe, growing problem in Western Europe, by the Channel. And it's something the police here have to particularly take on board, is the fact that we're now part of Europe. This is an international problem, and it's spreading to Britain.
This is Brussels, capital of Belgium and headquarters of the European Community. But less well known is its emerging role as Europe's capital for the international illegal arms trade. Weapons from Eastern Europe are flooding into the country. This haul of 150 guns imported by a Hungarian arms dealer was seized in June by the Belgian police. The weapons destined for criminal gangs included Soviet-made Kalashnikovs, Czech submachine guns and Uzis. The police are still looking for a further 600 guns from the same consignment. The London Program has discovered that Eastern European weapons like these can even be bought openly on the streets of Brussels. With a hidden camera, we filmed coaches sponsored by Polish crime syndicates which arrive every weekend selling black market goods. Guns are openly on offer. We were introduced to a Brussels-based fixer who asked us for a list of the weapons we wanted.
You tell me what you want. Yeah. Okay. Kalashnikov. AK-47. Yeah. Today is impossible. Next week, I ask now. Yes. And everybody's saying next week, okay. Nothing to he's by in the Poland and come here, everything what you want.
Prices are cheap. Last week a VZ-58 Czech assault rifle modelled on the Kalashnikov was bought in Brussels for $500, that's about £340. In Belgium, the easy access to weapons like these has already led to an appalling increase in their use. There's been more than 70 shootouts involving automatic weapons in the past year, double the rate of 2 years ago, and most of the weapons used are from Eastern Europe. Customs and Excise declined to be interviewed on the subject of arms smuggling into Britain, but issued the following statement. The amount of guns we've seized indicates that the problem is not quite so serious as people make out. We're particularly aware of the potential dangers of weapons coming in from Eastern Europe. So far, there haven't been any, not as far as Britain is concerned. But the Southeast Regional Crime Squad is currently investigating the possible influx of weapons from Eastern Europe. They believe that we do face a similar threat to Belgium.
There's an awful lot of Eastern European weapons about on the international market. Anything that's out on the international market that has a usefulness to any organisation will come towards affluence. We happen, despite certain thoughts, to be an affluent country. We have criminals who can afford them. Therefore, the Eastern European market is attracted to the United Kingdom and Western Europe.
The London Programme has discovered that Eastern European weapons are already being used in the capital. Michael Stubbs was shot with a Czech submachine gun, a model CZ-25 like this one. The same type of weapon was recently seized from drug dealers operating in the Elephant and Castle area. Senior police sources have confirmed to the London Programme that in South London alone, 10 machine guns of this kind are thought to be in the hands of villains. But illegal importation is not the only supply route into Britain. Each year, around 750,000 weapons are legally imported into this country, mainly for foreign buyers. But there's now evidence that some of these are being diverted to the criminal underworld. The South East Regional Crime Squad held a press conference the day after Michael Stubbs was shot.
The intelligence that we've got would suggest that we have recovered...
That morning, a series of raids across the home counties, codenamed Operation Lucy, led to the seizure of a haul of weapons and 25 arrests.
We're following two lines of inquiry there. The fact that some of the weapons may well have been smuggled into the UK, and the second line of inquiry that we're following is that they here legitimately and somehow have got from legitimate circles into the criminal fraternity.
Undercover police officers described the 17 weapons seized. These included 3 Uzis.
It's a weapon that's, when it's fully automatic, is used as a close defence weapon. You're very close to the target, you don't aim the gun, you just fire it and hope that you hit everybody in your path.
They also seized a .44 Magnum revolver, double-barreled shotguns and other handguns, including the same model as that found by Operation Vulcan in Brixton last week, a Brazilian-made Taurus revolver.
The advantage, of course, is that it is again a very small weapon that is easily concealed in a pocket, and yet it's a very good stopping weapon, at 38 caliber.
Amongst others, the police have now charged this man, Ivor Jones, with conspiracy to possess and supply illegal firearms. Jones, a gun dealer from Kettering, is a former police officer. We've discovered that he legally bought 6 Uzis, which were imported to Britain from Belgium. 3 were seized by Operation Lucy after allegedly being sold illegally. The others are unaccounted for. Investigations are continuing into a larger network of legally imported weapons falling into criminal hands.
We're pleased with the results that we've got. We see it as the first phase of an ongoing operation, and hopefully as the inquiries unfold there'll be more arrests and more seizures.
Our investigation has revealed that London is in danger of being sucked into a deadly European free market in illegal weapons. Operation Lucy shows that even legal shipments can be diverted into criminal hands. So what can be done to break the European connection?
This is Lippett's Hill, where the Met Crack Firearms Squad SO19 are trained. The specialist armed response teams were set up in 1991 to limit the number of officers carrying firearms and to improve the response time of police to armed incidents.
Did you hear the update? There's a bloke said he's got a gun in there. Yeah. He said it only fires blanks, but obviously we'll take that with a pinch of salt.
This is a typical call-out. An armed robber has holed up in a suburban house. They're moving in to contain and arrest the suspect. These armed response teams are under increasing pressure. There are only 5 vehicles on the streets at any one time, and last year they were called into action 668 times compared to 327 in 1989. The strain on SO19's officers is certain to increase unless more is done to stop the supply of weapons reaching London's criminals. In January, Interpol, the International Police Intelligence Agency, launched a computerized system for monitoring the illegal movement of arms worldwide. But they've confirmed to us that so far British police have not supplied detailed information about weapons seized or stolen in this country. Detective Chief Superintendent Griffiths heads a Met working party on firearms crime, due to report in weeks. The London programme asked him why the Met isn't using the Interpol system.
I think this is part of the look over the hill. I mean, you don't produce systems that deal with that sort of area overnight. We have systems, as I thought I said earlier, we have systems. What we need to do is make sure that they're knitted together, that we have a coherent system that pulls everything together to give us the complete intelligence picture. We will be looking at that, and we are looking at it. I think you were suggesting that technology would provide a solution. That would come to resources, and I think that would be, if it was recommended, to be part of something for the future, wouldn't it?
But it's not just at the international level that gaps in intelligence are hampering the fight against armed crime. Senior police officers in North and West London have told us privately that they've set up their own ad hoc group to exchange intelligence. This has already uncovered criminal links between gangs all over Britain.
But what officers at local level have said to us is what they'd like is actually some centralised coordination. Is that what you're going to be recommending?
Now, I think what we're trying to do is cut through the problem and grab the essential parts of an integrated intelligence system in terms of armed crime. And I think we're very close to coming up with how we can do that and do it very simply.
But time is running out. And meanwhile, many more members of the police and public could face the kind of firepower that nearly killed Bobby Campbell and Michael Stubbs. Bobby Campbell is still haunted by the shooting.
I'm 53 years old, you know, but it was the first I was crying my eyes out when I heard it. That's a gospel truth. You can ask any of the nurses and that was there. I just broke down then, you know, because we were just sitting having a beer, no bothering anyone, all of a sudden he was dead.